They got green skin and they got red blood. The reason they have green skin is because, yes, you were correct on the fungi meme. They are kind of a half fungus. So when the old ones kind of built them up, their body type is half of like a terrestrial, you know, mammal, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not really a mammal, but, you know, looks like a normal freaking person, you know, they're bipedal.
Humanoid, yeah.
Yeah, perfect, humanoid. And then they're also crossed with fungus. And the reason that they're crossed with fungus, I don't really know why exactly, but because of this, it has sprouted multiple other kinds of orc subspecies. And these subspecies are things like squigs and squiggeths, and also things called snotlings and Gretchen. Now, you may have seen Gretchen. Gretchen are like little goblin orcs. They look like goblins. They're much smaller. They got big old noses and the big old ears. They look like a WoW goblin. They literally look like a WoW goblin.
Okay, yeah.
And then they have snotlings, which are like half-sized Gretchen. And so Gretchen, like the smaller little guys, are normally used for like cooking and like delivering messages and stuff to the actual big orcs. Now with the green skin or red blood, they have very dull like pain receptors, and often will recover from pretty much fatal damage with just like, it's funny because Adeptus Mechanicus have seen orcs take like a fuckload of bolter rounds to their body, and they'll come back a day later bigger and with just a bunch of scars all over their body.
Oof.
They're just all scarred up and they're just very angry. Apparently orcs have been constantly seen to be decapitated, and then a pain boy will go take their head and sew it back on, and then the orc is normal again. Orcs have had like all their limbs cut off, and then a pain boy will come up and sew them back on, and then they're back in the fight. It's really stupid.
So how does that work? Because like I get the pain receptors and we can recover real quickly from like gunshots, but if you get fucking decapitated, isn't that kind of game set match? Like there's not, I mean, you could sew it back on, but like there's a lot of other shit going on with your head getting cleaved up.
40K doesn't care to tell you that, because why should it?
Yeah, fair.
But
it's the why, right? It's
a power of imagination, but a slight assumption. Fungus is living in all cells. Maybe it's still living, and then you put the head back on, and then it keeps on living. Maybe it has something to do with the fungus thing. That's a theory.
Okay.
I have no evidence to back that up, but it makes a little bit of sense.
So we're just gonna say they're fungus. Of course you can reattach their head. Why not?
Yeah, you know, it just keeps on growing.
You're already suspending disbelief in that they're, you know, fungus creatures that were raised up by alien gods, so what's putting a head back on gonna really do to... Sure.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, pain boys operate very much on, like, medical methodology from, like, the medieval times. From, like, 800, 900, so it's very much like, oh no, your leg's broken, and they just kind of, like, saw it off. With like a dulled fucking hacksaw, because that's, you know, old medical.
Oh yeah.
But because orcs have such like low pain receptors, they kind of just don't care. I mean, it'll hurt, but it won't be super painful like a human.
Right.
So they just kind of do it, and they're like, oh, I'm back up, I'm good. And the thing is, when an orc actually does die, they're fungi, so they kind of like blow up, and they don't blow up, but they like eventually kind of decompose into a big cloud of spores and fungus on the ground, which will eventually, you know, grow back up into more orcs. So often it makes orcs just ludicrously hard to get rid of, because